We increased our vote nationally in this election by over 97,000 Jamaicans. And we doubled the number of seats that we hold in Parliament from 14 to 28. Our team in Parliament is strong, and we will be a formidable force in the Parliament of the land to hold the government to account and to defend the rights and interests of the Jamaican people. I am happy to announce that all our MPs elect, except for one who is traveling abroad, have signed a letter to the Governor General confirming their support for me to be appointed leader of the opposition.
Hey guys, welcome back to CARB 21 Network. So yesterday we saw two press conferences that took place. The first one was from the People's National Party, and the Jamaica Labour Party did their own press conference to respond to some of the things that was said by the Jamaica Labour Party. And to be honest, I was very confused about the press conference. I know after the election, it's normal to do a press conference, but the use of the press conference by the People's National Party was a bit confusing to me, because it seems like they were pretty much questioning the result of the election, even though in the same press conference, the opposition leader, Mark Golin, stated that their legal team said after doing their due diligence that all the things that are questionable about the election, the result would not change. So for Mark Golin to pretty much come out and say that, look, the legal team, the advice that we got from the legal team, the days that we spent looking into some of the irregularities that were reported, not verified, just reported, and speaking to the legal team and the EOJ's office, nothing would change. And so it was, to me, it was a waste of a press conference in terms of coming out and pretty much questioning the EOJ and a lot of the things that were questioned, like the voter list with, dead people on the list, people that move away overseas on the list. That is not something that would only affect the People's National Party, that would also affect the Jamaica Labour Party. So I was very confused with the use of the press conference. The next thing that I found interesting, in the age of social media where everyone have a smartphone and they can video anything, any irregularities at the voting stations, anything suspicious going on. And the opposition leader came out with some allegations, some stuff that we all heard, some voice note online, in particular with Isaac Buchanan, that they're not going to allow him to succeed, that they're going to disrupt anything that he puts in place. And we know Jamaica already with these voice note, like people just leak voice note just to go viral on social media. So I was surprised that the opposition leader came out with those without any way to verify if they were legitimate and to use those as something that is worrisome to them. And to open up this whole can of worm, you would have to understand that they're going to open themselves to a lot of allegations too, because there have been allegations of irregularities on their side also. And recently a video came out about the PMP talking about buying vote. I don't know if it's authentic, but this is the video that's been circulating online.
But today, for the votes, we go buy the votes if we need to buy. I believe you go in the constituency, play some music, boil some soup or some curry water or something, and use that and get the people them to come. And when them come now, you hold them with the food, with the KFC or whatever, right? Because that is what we get to
1 second, because we could do that. How many meetings there?
We had about 40.
40 meetings. You would have the same result, even if you gave them KFC. Sorry, how are you get this? Even if you give them KFC.
Yes, so this video now about buying vote with KFC, and we saw, Isaac Buchanan in that video also. So I believe that when the opposition leader, when they use that press conference to come out and to talk about some of these stuff, they're opening themselves also to speculation of things that went on in their community. So I just did not think it was the right use of a press conference. Yes, a press conference to state that, look, Jamaica, there's a strong opposition now. It's not going to be like the past administration where it was 49 to 14. There's a strong opposition bench and we can hold the government accountable. And that, to me, would be the best use of the press conference and to share with the Jamaican people how you're going to hold the government accountable and all of that. But the thing to come out, because when PJ Patterson won 3 straight election, the People's National Party won 4 straight election. And as I said, every single election, you're going to hear something about voter suppression. You're going to hear about the voters listening, cleaning up. That's been a thing for decades. So to come out with these, to use a press conference to come out with these things now, I thought it was a waste of time. But that is just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts? Do you think that it was a good idea for Mark Golding to use the press conference to talk about these irregularities in the election? Are you okay with that use of his time in the press conference? So we continue with the press conference. And one question is that, is Nationwide really against Mark Golding, or is it just that the media, I get a sense that the media houses are very soft in Jamaica when asking questions, like they don't want to ask tough questions. And once Nationwide step up to ask Mark Golding and his legal team some questions, then Mark Golding just seem uncomfortable. So this is the exchange between Mark Golding and Nationwide News.
Just 2 more, one for Anthony Hilton and one for you, Mr. Golding. Mr. Hilton, you put forward the suggestion comparing Jamaica's electoral process to that of Guyana, which has a history now of concerns about the process, whereas here in Jamaica, we had the OAS, CARICOM, as well as CAFE, all suggesting that the elections were free of harassment, free of intimidation, or any other irregularities, so far as going as to commending us in terms of our conduct here and to put forward Jamaica as a model that the Caribbean can follow. Isn't that a bit out of sorts in terms of that assessment by you in terms of irregularities? And to you, Mr. Golding, your predecessors have all offered their resignations to the wider party following an election loss. Will you not do the same, or will you simply take up your post as opposition leader going into the parliament?
Let me. Well, you want,
No, you.
let me say. I think that the aspects. I don't think what you characterize as overstatement, notwithstanding anything that has been said by CAFE or any other organization that participated. The EU focus, and I urge you, and I think you have read the EU report. And if you have, then you'll see that they commented on some other aspects of it, much of which we saw in full force here in Jamaica. The issue that we believe needs to be addressed as an urgent matter is the whole issue of the advertising and promotion before and during the campaign, with excessive state resources. And that aspect of it and others were specifically commented on. So my advice is that whatever the specific limitations or the concerns that the OAS or other monitoring group didn't address, the EU's report, I believe, was much broad-based and some of it very relevant to Jamaica.
If I may add something to that before.
Okay, so let's just stop here for a minute. So what they are talking about corruption, I don't think that this is corruption. I don't know how you feel about it. You can let me know in the comment section if you consider this corruption. But this is an old age practice. The People's National Party used the same practice when PJ Patterson was in government for the 14 years. So the thing with the incumbent party, you put out your manifesto, you make your promises to the people of Jamaica, all the things that you want to do for the country, and you win the election and you go forward. Most of the things that you promise the Jamaican people is not going to get started right away. A lot of those projects are 3, 4 year projects. And I know that it's like a political strategy because it's been happening for decades. And as I said, the People's National Party is guilty of it. So I know what they're talking about. At the beginning of this year, for the entire year, I would say you saw Andrew Holness walking around cutting ribbon, and you saw Damian Crawford making fun about cut, cut, cut. So I think what normally happens is that the parties like they strategize and say, you know what, we are going to start this project, and most of the projects, especially the big ticket items, we are going to make sure that these projects are finished right at the tail end before the next election. We saw the People's National Party do the same thing, where you're going around, you're cutting ribbon for refurbished hospitals, like 200 police car come and you do the photo op and all of those things, saying that okay, look, you're modernizing the police force, whatever the government can do, and to do a photo op. We have been seeing this all these years. Now, because the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, like he's the king of social media. So now it's easier to get your messaging out there. But in the past, we saw PJ Patterson using the GIS program to showcase some of the projects that they're doing. And they would leave a lot of those projects close to election time, because once it's election time and the voters see that a lot of work is getting done, they are going to be inclined to say the government is working. And that is just an advantage that the incumbent government would have over the opposition party coming in, because the government, they're the one with the money spending. And as I said, the People's National Party did the same thing. So let's continue.
The leader answers the next question. I think we've been very responsible as a party. I think we've been very responsible. Nationwide carried a story that Cafe said that 21% of the persons at the polling station at 5 o'clock allowed to vote. We could easily have created a stir with that to suggest that those persons would have voted for us and it would have changed the outcome of the elections. We didn't. We waited for good information, right? For additional information. And we have seen where over the last 2 days, the ECG has refuted what was carried as to what Cafe had said. And then since that, Cafe today in the paper is clarifying that that did not actually take place. So I believe the comment that was made as well was not necessarily comparing the electoral systems in the two countries, but about the report that came out of the election. So I don't know how you got to the point of saying he was comparing the two electoral systems. He was speaking to the report that came out and said that there are similarities that we have seen the same thing here. Cafe, CARICOM and other OAS, other persons that came here would not have been out in the field to see that $100,000 was offered to an indoor agent not to work, or offered to a cluster manager to give me the canvas of this party. They would not have seen that. They would not have seen what took place in the field. They would have been at the polling station, right? They would not have seen the night before that somebody was offered money to dip their finger in ink and therefore can't show up to the polling station. They would not have seen where we saw some persons, MPs, trying to separate people into lines as to who we are going to vote for, totally inappropriate, right? From a high-ranking member of the Jamaica Labour Party. So the issues that we're bringing forward here are things that we have contemplated on, we've heard about, and not just anecdotal things, but things that we can say, these, based on the reports that we've gotten and there's additional work to do, but there is sufficient evidence to speak to it at this point to suggest that there was indeed an attempt to suppress the votes. Remember that we did run a campaign, where the last credible poll that came up before the election had us ahead by 3 percentage points, right? Not like the one from Nationwide that said we're 13 points behind. That was totally fraudulent, right? And if you look at the outcome of the elections, it was within 1%, as in the popular vote. So it was within that margin of error. And that is after all the suppression that took place by the Labour Party and the delayed voting by the ECJ that caused persons to leave the polling station and not being able to participate.
Okay, so let me stop it right here for a minute. And this is why I think that this press conference was a waste, because everything that you can accuse the Jamaica Labour Party, things that happen in some of the areas in terms of voting, you can also turn that onto the People's National Party also. And that is why I believe that this was a waste of their time, because if they should be able to come up with, as I said, the age of social media. So the incident about the $100,000 being paid to someone to not show up to work, that should have been easily verifiable. The dipping of ink in the hand the night before, that should have been easily verifiable, put on social media, or video, bring forth video evidence. And as I said, like, no well-thinking Jamaican think that the election goes without some of those things that some monkey business. Like, no well-thinking Jamaican, at least I stated a few weeks ago that at least a 5 to 8% of election interference will take place in any election, not just Jamaica, even the great United States of America. Somebody's going to try and do something. And I think that happened on both sides. So I just don't know, because it is not going to look good on their side to question the governing body of the Jamaica election. And especially if there was no question when they were 18 years in power, they did not question it then. So it just comes across as they are a sore loser. And if I am the head of the EOJ, like, I would just feel some type of way to know that, like, a part of the government, the opposition party, is questioning the integrity of an organization that is set up to make sure that Jamaicans can vote. So, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think about it. So let's continue.
In relation to, well, first of all, I'm not aware of any historic precedent of which you speak. There have been instances where party leaders have offered their resignation. There have been instances where they haven't, to my knowledge. I serve at the pleasure of the party, and I'm happy to continue to serve in the capacity as leader for as long as the party wants me to. And thus far, all of the MPs who have been elected, all 28, other than one who's overseas traveling, have signed a letter confirming that they have confidence in me and want me to be the leader of the opposition.
Right.
And that's where it is right now.
If I may add again, if I may just add something to that.
Okay, so let me stop it right there also. So as I said earlier on, that 27 signature means nothing today. Like, the Prime Minister will be sworn in next week, the cabinet will be chosen, and they will take office. And the opposition party have to be in place to challenge the government on anything. And so the 27 or the 20, everyone's signing off now. Yeah, it is good that they're not challenging right away, because that would pretty much, that would be like a firestorm. Can you imagine? I'm here talking for the entire duration of the election about why I did not believe that the People's National Party was going to win because of, what is going on within the party or what went on 5 years ago. So if they just came out right away and challenge Mark Golding, it's not going to look good. But as I said, this is not an indication that there won't be a challenge 2 years from now or 1 year from now. This is not saying that. Signing on now is just to get the business of the country moving right now. But you never know. Like Damian Crawford can sign right now and say, you know what? I'm going to talk to some of my people. I'm going to talk to some of the delegates to see if I have their support. I'm going to go do my work behind the scene and see how much support I have if I can challenge before I make my decision. So just to make that clear. So let's continue.
I want for us not to mislead the public with some of the statements. There are some things that are being said in the public space that are just not true. Andrew Holness was defeated by Portia Simpson Miller in 2011. It seems persons have forgotten that. He did not resign, nor did he offer any resignation. He stayed there. He did not even make public the appraisal committee report that was done, right? 10 of the 21 MPs signed a no confidence in him. He's the one that saved himself with his casting vote. I also hear persons saying that it's historic, unprecedented, this third term. When they say one complain about the PNP being in office for 18 years, the PNP has won 4 consecutive elections in Jamaica. So what is historic? It's historic for the JLP that they have won 3 elections. It's not historic for Jamaica. PJ Patterson won in 93, 97, and 2002. Why do we continue to mislead the public in this vulgar manner?
Mark, I just heard what you said. It's one thing to be endorsed by the party and have the party's confidence, but do you yourself, do you want to lead the party? And then secondly, I'd like to follow up and saying, you don't really want to, as a party, enter another period of fractiousness, internecine warfare that splinters the party. I think you've been an MP since 2007.
2017.
2017, beg your pardon. You brought the party back. It seems united. You fell short. You've doubled your seats. I mean, that I think will go down in history. But do you want to lead the charge? It's all very well being endorsed. You seem to have a good support team around you. But in your heart,
Okay, let me stop this here again. So that again is another talking point that is out there, that somehow this comeback for the People's National Party was historic. And that is not the truth. That is not the truth. Like both parties, as I said, like in Jamaica, like PNP vote PNP, JLP vote JLP. The people that decide the election, they're normally this what you call a swing vote, which is normally around 25% of the people who vote. And this, every time a party goes through some turmoil, they get defeated because their people don't show up to vote. So whenever you see like a landslide victory, so let me give you an example. So in 2011, the People's National Party, Portia Simpson won that election, and the People's National Party won with 42 seats to the Jamaica Labour Party, 21 seats. That was Portia Simpson going up against Andrew Holness. And that was a landslide victory. They got double the seat. That was a landslide victory. And why did that happen? That victory happened in part because of what took place in Tivoli Gardens. What took place in Tivoli Gardens, and at the time, I think it was Bruce Golding that was in office, and Bruce Golding had to step down, and that's how Andrew Holness came as the Prime Minister. And Andrew Holness paid for that. Andrew Holness paid for what happened under Bruce Golding leadership, and he lost a landslide defeat. The People's National Party, Portia Simpson, won the election. And that was because you can understand why a lot of people from Tivoli Gardens and a lot of Jamaica Labour Party people probably just stay home, because a lot of people were upset, were angry about the situation with the Tivoli Garden massacre. So fast forward to 2020, to 2016. Then the JLP won 31 to the PMP, no, 32 to the PMP 31. So it is not historic. Like the People's National Party getting back their seat is not historic. The reason, I keep saying it, the reason why they lost such a bad defeat the last election was because of all the turmoil with Peter Phillips, Portia Simpson, all of that turmoil. People were upset. When you upset, you're not just upsetting. Just imagine, Portia Simpson was one of the longest serving politicians in Jamaica at the time. Portia Simpson, one of the most loved. When you upset her base, even though it's the same party, when you upset her base, her delegates, the people from her constituency, the people that love Sister P, they are going to stay home. And that is what happened. That is what I believe happened in 2020, why they got such a devastating defeat. So for Margolin to win back the seats that were People's National Party seat, for Anne-Marie Vaz to lose her seat, that is not historic, because that was already a People's National Party strong area. So I just wanted to clear up that this is not historic. This is just how election go. And we can go back to Edward Seaga winning in the 80s and then losing after Hurricane Gilbert and never got back in office. So, this is not historic. Margolin just won back the PMP seat.
The parts do you want to lead the charge going forward? And secondly, I'd say that you seem to have a deep bench, both in the lower house. What are your plans for the upper house? A lot of bright people around, a lot of people who can take positions. How do you want to lead them, and how do you want to deploy it?
Well, I'm not going to comment on the composition of the Senate, which is, you'll hear more very shortly on that. In terms of my own personal aspirations, Al, I feel a continued commitment to my country, Jamaica, where I was born and where I've lived all of my life, other than when I was studying abroad, and which has been very good to me, and which my parents, instilled in me a sense of service to the people of Jamaica. And I am willing to continue and plan to continue to serve my country through the political process as leader of the People's National Party, moving ahead, going forward from the significant achievements that we have managed to garner in these elections to a victorious result next time round. And as I said, I serve at the will of the party. And so as long as the party has confidence in me to continue, I will be here.
Okay, so that was it. That was it for the press conference. And let me just say this. I believe that the People's National Party, I believe that they do have a strong bench. It is going to be very interesting. Like, it's going to be like fireworks going on. Like this not this election, but this Andrew Holness is not going to have it easy this time governing the country. There's going to be a lot of fireworks. There's a lot of People's National Party MPs that are very combative, I would say. So the Prime Minister is not going to have an easy time this time. And that is good for the country to have a strong opposition. This is what Jamaica needs. Jamaica needs a strong opposition, that the Prime Minister is not able to do whatever he wants, when he wants, and how he wants. So having a good opposition is always a good thing. And I still keep with my opinion, and this is my opinion, so people can just not come and attack me based on my opinion. You have your opinion, I have my opinion. I believe that there's going to be a challenge, and I think what it's going to be a make or break how the People's National Party deal with that. Somebody's going to challenge Margolin. I guarantee you that somebody's going to challenge. How they deal with it is going to be how they go forward. If everything spills out and if it gets really dirty, then I don't think they have a chance. And honestly, if Mark Golding stays on and run again, I believe that the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, is going to stay on. And as I said, I don't believe that Mark Golding will ever be able to beat Dr. Andrew Holness. And that is just my opinion. So if Mark stays on, I believe Andrew is going to stay on. I believe that if Mark exit, then depending on what is going on with the political party, with the Jamaica Labour Party at the time, I can see Andrew Holness stepping down. He said he wants to teach. He's been serving like what, 3.5 term. He's set. You know, he has a prime minister salary for life. Like he's set. Like being a prime minister is not an easy job. It's very stressful. So I can see the prime minister like stepping aside and giving someone else the opportunity to run the next election. But I just believe that if Mark Golding decides to stay on, then the prime minister is going to stay on to go up against him. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this one. Do you think that Mark Golding is going to experience a challenge coming out of the People's National Party? And who do you think is going to be the challenger? And do you think it's the right decision for Mark Golding to stay, like if he stays without a challenge? Let me know what you think in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.